Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the DLF Trade Show, the show that is so good that if we were to enter into free agency, DLF would never let us get that far. We would be one of those shows that our deal was announced during the legal tampering period because they would want us tied up so fast. That's how good we are.
Whoa. I like it.
Took a little while to get there, but I got there and it was great. Russ
Mhm.
Fisher, Dynasty Outhouse, Addison Hayes, out of Maze Hayes _. We are here today to, mostly talk about free agency, hence my beautifully put together joke. A little bit of trades, because we can't not talk about DJ Moore, right? We
Mhm.
gotta. And whatever else Addison put on the sheet because I didn't look at it yet. I like not looking. It's much more fun to be surprised so I could yell at him for what trades he finds.
Mhm.
We are just, let's just jump straight in because like I said, I'm excited to talk about DJ Moore. I'm very curious to find out, screw it. I'm just going to ask you. I'm not going to wait till we get to a trade. Do you think his value went up on the move?
I think his perceived value went up. I don't think his actual production or value should go up. Like I think it's much more lateral of a move for DJ Moore than a lot of
Yeah,
people are making out to be.
I'm actually pretty surprised that that seems to be a consensus idea. Like, I really just felt like we were going to hit hashtag DJ Moore is freed, levels, and people would be going crazy. I don't know if it's actually, because here's the thing: the offense, any offense, even if it was still in Carolina, uh, couldn't get worse than Carolina's passing game last year. Like, that was really, really, really bad. And DJ Moore still had a couple of good. I know it can. Just don't. You don't need to list them. But I really, I like the idea of Fields with DJ Moore because Fields hopefully now can. Well, we want him to keep scrambling forward because we need those points. But like, if he's going to extend plays in the back, DJ Moore is that guy to find the openings in zone. So like, I think they're a great fit for each other. But I still think that neither of their values change because, yeah, DJ Moore is still the wide receiver one on a team that in its history has not had a very good passing offense.
Mhm.
Last season, after Justin Fields started doing Justin Fields things on the field, too many fields, his highest passing production was 250 yards, I believe.
Mhm.
And I don't think he ever threw for, I think he threw for 2 touchdowns like once. So again, all of that way too long to be said. Let's look at our first trade. 12-team Superflex, DJ Moore and Evan Engram for Traylon Burks and a 24 first. This feels insanely fair. It doesn't look that fair. Okay, DJ Moore 307, Evan Engram 71 for a total of 378. Traylon Burks 302, and a 24 first is 198 for a total of 500. I agree with the analyzer. To me, Burks and DJ Moore are kind of cross off.
Mhm.
I think this is a little low on Evan Engram. I don't think he should be analyzer valued equally with a 24 first, but he got tagged in Jacksonville. I understand Calvin Ridley's going to be there and he's going to be scooping up like 180 to 200 targets, but
Minimum. Yeah.
yeah, just to be a little conservative on the projection.
Mhm.
Evan Engram was the dependable player in that offense for like the second half of the season. Like the first half, it was Christian Kirk, which I loved. But then it was like, is it Kirk or Zay Jones? Is it Kirk or Zay Jones? Nope, just Evan Engram the whole time. So I think this is a little low on Engram. So honestly, I think this deal is fair, though it is a little weird to give up the rookie wide receiver, well, coming in second year wide receiver and the first. No, you're getting younger, older. You're getting it's production for younger age.
Mhm.
I think this is very fair. I think I take the DJ Moore and the Engram side, even though I love Burks and that 24 first will be nice, assuming it's at least a mid first, because the next year's class, we're getting another good couple of quarterbacks and a couple of other good players otherwise. So mid will be very good picks still. I sit by this as very even, but I think I want the the real answer is Burks in the first, but I want the players.
That Burks in the first is the side that I want because, like you said, I mean, like one for one, DJ Moore and Burks, they're very equal. You can just kind of cross them off, and you're going to take the first over Evan Ingram. So that's really where the
You
main
should.
difference is.
You absolutely should. But if I'm competing this year, and I believe that DJ Moore's value did go up, and I am telling myself, okay, Analyzer probably had him as a very lateral move, so I'm going to put him up at 4 something, then that makes it feel fair. And like, don't forget, like, I love the DLF Trade Analyzer. It is my first go-to when I'm like, wait, I what is this trade? What like, in my brain just can't put things together. I'm like, let me just put it in the analyzer. Like, but the whole point of this is to look at the values it puts in there and then to see how you feel about them. Like, that's, well, how you should use it and the point of this show, really. So like, I do think Engram should be worth a little more, not like too much more. Again, like, I don't think he should be worth 200 points in here, but I'm good putting him at like a 120, which really just puts this at like a second away, and I'm fine with that if I'm getting players I want. All right, the next trade we have, putting DJ Moore and Calvin Ridley together. I see what you're doing to me. Can we change Rashad Penny out to Cortland Sutton so it's just full 2018 wide receiver class? Their values,
or just 2018 class.
No, I don't want to talk about Rashad Penny.
You love him. You're a Seahawks fan. You love him.
Right. Those two things definitely go together. Right. Okay, so DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley, and Rashad Penny for CeeDee Lamb. Oh my God, I would drool getting CeeDee Lamb for this. DJ Moore, 307. Calvin Ridley, 178. Rashad Penny, come on. Like, I get that he got like $85 for signing with the Eagles, but like...
For real.
1.35 million with 600,000 guaranteed. In NFL dollars, that's $85. Like, if that dude stays healthy, he has a very good shot of being a decent part of that backfield. Of course, him staying healthy has been the problem.
Yeah, or he could tweak his ankle tomorrow and he's not even on the team by June.
Yeah, I think my joke was spraining his wrist signing the contract. But like, CeeDee Lamb, the Moore, Ridley, and Penny side comes out to 509. CeeDee Lamb by himself is 712. I get it that you are getting who will probably be 2 very solid wide receivers and a very good dart throw in Rashad Penny, but that's CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, this is taking full advantage of like all of the recent hype, like everything. And I think this was done maybe yesterday or the day before too. So there's also, I think the knowledge of like Brandon Cooks being on the Cowboys is also maybe integrated in this too. So it's like, oh, CeeDee Lamb, he's going to take a hit because now they have a legitimate wide receiver too. And DJ Moore is going to be amazing with Justin Fields. Calvin Ridley is going to be wide receiver 1 again. Rashad Penny is going to be the new Miles Sanders. Like, this is all, there's a lot going on here that this is very well done on whoever got CeeDee Lamb out of this and taking full advantage of everything.
If you watching right now are a CeeDee Lamb fan or manager, you should be dancing until your feet are sore that they traded for Brandon Cooks. Because what else? What was the first rumor? Steph Diggs. What was the next rumor? DeAndre Hopkins. You don't want that across from CeeDee Lamb, even though you can have 2 good wide receivers produce on the same team. But it's Brandon Cooks. Exactly what you said. A very good wide receiver too.
Mm-hmm.
So who's going to be the alpha?
Lamb.
Yeah, worrying about Lamb is just silly. Honestly, what I would be worried about is the Mike McCarthy offense, much more than Brandon Cooks. All right, let's move on to Darren Waller. I love this. I loved Waller going to New Jersey because that's technically where they go, to New York, because actually that's a lie. First, I was sad because I liked Danny Belly. And he was like the next Dalton Schultz, the dude that is just a jag. He's like just a dude that decided to put football pads on, but still did really well. But like, we saw how Daniel Jones could use tight end. And if Darren Waller could stay healthy for more than 6 games, that could be a really good connection, especially if they decide for some reason not to spend early capital on a wide receiver, which would just be silly. But like Darren Waller walking back into his pre-Devontae Adams role on the Raiders is great. And especially for talking a tight end premium league, like I drafted Waller in Trade Addicts 11. I traded for him in a different Trade Addicts league because we have the 0.75. And I love that upside.
Yeah, there's a lot for sure. There's also downside though, but
oh, there's absolutely so much of it, but I'm doing my best to stay positive because I drafted him and traded for him.
Darren Waller's fun. I like Darren Waller.
Yeah. So the first trade we have is a 12-team super flex, and it is Darren Waller for a 25 first. 25 picks. I mean, we have them in my leagues too, but like sending them around seems so weird. I send them out when I just don't want to send out a good pick. So Darren Waller comes in at 92, the 25 first, 109. I mean, even if I'm rebuilding, like I get that you're like, oh, it's a first, I'll take it. It's so far. And I get that every day that passes, that pick will gain a little value and Darren Waller will lose a little bit of value. And I'm assuming this person has been trying to sell Waller for a year and a half and hasn't been able to, and probably was super excited to get a 25 first. And I mean, they're right to be happy about it. This really is exactly even like the analyzer says to me, but like, I want the player, like, in my heart, I want the player. In my brain, it's whatever you want to do. Whether you want to rebuild, you take the pick. If you want to compete, you take Waller.
I think this is the pick kind of almost no matter what. And I did this deal a few months ago. This wasn't my trade, but I did this almost exact. I did Waller and a 24 second for a 25 first back in like December or something like that. Because I was that person that you just described. I've been trying to trade Darren Waller for like a year and a half in that league, and I could not do it. And so I finally just said, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to aim for the 2025 class. And I got a 25 first for Waller in a second. Even if Darren Waller hits, like he could be 1,000 yards, catch a handful of touchdowns. That's going to be great for for you to have an advantage at the tight end position and for him to be back of what Darren Waller was before as a top 5 tight end, potentially even top 3, and that's going to be fantastic. But by the time you get to this time next year, not even this time next year, but it's like, you're just going to want that 25 first so much more than you will Darren Waller. And I'm willing to wait
unless he was your tight end on your championship winning team. You will be thrilled to send it 2 years first if you win this year. 2 years out first if you win this year.
Sure, absolutely. But there's also, so much risk and downside that what if Darren Waller doesn't stay healthy? He's also, going to be turning 31 this year. Do the Giants bring in more people and now he's not in as great of a situation as we already think he is now? I'm not saying that there's really anybody else they could bring in that he wouldn't get massive amounts of targets as the wide receiver 1 essentially on the team. But if they add in somebody else, like they already brought back Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson is coming back from injury.
I'm excited for that.
This offense is going to be pretty solid.
They're in a weird spot in the first, I think, because
they could draft they're in the mid 20s, I think. They could draft Zay Flowers or somebody like that.
I was about to say they could very easily take a wide receiver at that spot, but honestly, that still doesn't worry me for Waller. I mean, I would love for him to again be that lone target, which we already know he's not, because we saw Wan'Dale earn some targets. Of course, he got hurt a game and a half later, but we saw that he has the ability to do that. And at this point, do you really dock a wide receiver on an ACL tear for that long? Everyone seems to come back from them. It just takes time. But I absolutely get what you're saying. But also as a competing team, I just don't care about sending my 25 first out. I will go and trade for someone else's later on if I want one.
That's fine. I'll take the pick.
All right, let's find this in a league and we'll do it. Actually, no, because I already drafted Darren Waller in 11. All right, next we have 12-team Superflex 2-point tight end premium.
Yeah, yep.
Just making sure that's not 2 tight ends. That's premium.
Nope.
Because I wouldn't talk about it if this was a 2 tight end trade. All right, so 2-point tight end premium, Darren Waller and Cam Akers for Tyreek Hill. Yeah, that's Scott. That is still so much Tyreek Hill. I get it. That's a lot. That's a lot of premium. But that's Tyreek Hill. Darren Waller, 123.7 is not reflecting that much of a premium. The premium button, because it's really just a checkbox, it's 1.5. That's what they take into account. So even when I use it for the Trade Addicts leagues, I add a little bit of extra because we're 0.75. But this is an extra 0.25 on top of that. So even if you throw him up to 200, you're still just talking 318 to 565 still. How little smoke has there been around the Rams offense?
There's been nothing.
What? How? I'm assuming this means Matt Stafford's okay because they weren't even mentioned in keeping Baker around. They haven't. It's been so weird to not hear anything.
I literally don't like. I can't evaluate Cam Akers because I literally have no idea what they're thinking. Like I have no pulse whatsoever
At all.
on if they think that Cam Akers could be back and their guy, like what they thought whenever they drafted him, or are they just gonna run him into the ground for year 4 and then let him walk? Or are they, are they gonna bring somebody else in? I have no idea.
Well, I mean, Henderson is gone anyway, so they're going to need to bring in a body. But how much they put into that body is a terrible words to say. But even still, you could tell me that Cam Akers is going to be a 65-70% touch guy. I still want Tyreek Hill by a lot.
Yep. Okay. Gotta take advantage of the news when it happens.
Yes.
Because you get some wild trades.
Okay, so Miles Sanders. I get it. He left the Eagles, one of the best offenses in the league. Very good offensive line. And he went to the Panthers. But do we remember what Deonta Foreman was doing at the end of last year?
Mm-hmm.
And they might, well, assuming they aren't the savviest team in the world, they're drafting a quarterback at 1. Because, like, if they magically get better deal than what they gave to Chicago, then good for them. Like, really good for them. I would want to shake someone's hand. Like, I'll just a random person from Carolina, because I'm not going to be able to be in the same room as the GM and be able to shake hands with him without getting arrested.
But you can. You just gotta believe.
But the whole thing is you have to walk confidently like you're supposed to be there. I'm not the most confident person in the world. I cannot pull that off. I'll be sitting there with my shoulders up, my hands in my pockets, my hands all sweaty. No, it's not great. But I think it's a great move because he will be the guy there. I like Chuba, but let's face it, he's a change of pace guy. And Miles Sanders, while the last year or change, he hasn't missed many games, but he still gets nicked up a whole lot. So I'm absolutely good with the fact that he should not be a workhorse in the league. But I still think he's in a team where he will get a lot of the touches. So in a 12-team, 1 quarterback, we have Miles Sanders and the 204 for Tony Pollard and Tyler Lockett. That got weird. So Miles Sanders is at 215. The 204 is at 143 for a total of 358. Tony Pollard, a very respectful 410. And Tyler Lockett, a somewhat respectable 119 for a total of 528. Yeah, you're making me take Tony Pollard's side, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, this is Tony Pollard. I get it. He looked really good at the end of last year. Breaking your leg sucks, but it wasn't his femur or anything like that. Is much, 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 much worse to come back from. And they cut Zeke, so as of now, he's the guy they have to bring in the body. Like, they need more running backs, but he'll get probably I almost said the Lions share, but like the Cowboys share of the running back touches because the Lions are a different team. I think I'm funny. It's a bad thing. Tyler Lockett will just always be good. And the fact that he's 30, he's going to have no value. But still, Tony Pollard, if you took Tyler Lockett out of this, most people would probably still take Tony Pollard.
I was literally just about to say this. I was about to say that I don't even need, you got a free Tyler Lockett in this deal because I would 100% trade Sanders in the 204 for Pollard.
If this was Superflex and someone sent me Miles Sanders in the 204 and I had Tony Pollard, I would probably consider it.
No, I'd keep Pollard.
I would like if they magically had the 201 or something, I would counter with that. But otherwise, I don't think it's that. But also, I can't pick the lock on my take lock on Tony Pollard. It is 100% my fault.
Well, I have an idea to do a video on why you should be buying Tony Pollard right now. So I will make that video and address you.
Right after we finish this video, calm down. Don't move on from me that quickly because we still have another trade of Miles Sanders. Ooh, and more people below. Miles Sanders and DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, give me that side. I love that. Nope, never mind. 24 first, the 209, a 24 second, and New England tight end Mike Gesicki. Miles Sanders 160, Nuke disrespectful 128, even though we don't even know where he's going to end up playing, for a total of 288.3. Caution, Team B is giving up the highest value asset and the most pieces in the deal, because the most valuable asset is the 24 first at 198. The 209 comes in at 90. The 24 second, 68. Mike Gesicki, 57, which, sorry, Mike, I really liked you coming in, Penn State pass catchers, but yeah, you need to. I'm just excited that he's most likely on a team now that won't get mad that he doesn't block. Like,
Yeah.
Why did anyone ever think that he would? Did they not watch his tape?
I don't know.
The dude is just a big wide receiver, and then he gets benched for not blocking. But I think I see a world where Hopkins for a 24 first can happen. Maybe not right now, closer to the season. Which means, even if you pick one of the players. Miles Sanders is worth more, so let's at least do Miles Sanders for the 24 first. And then if you tell me 24 second, 209 and Mike Gesicki for Hopkins, I would take the multiple seconds and Gesicki.
Yeah.
Yep. And again, you made me pick against Miles Sanders. That was not the point of this.
I'm sorry. I was just reading what the trade finder was saying, because you said you were interested in what Miles Sanders' value is now that he went to the Panthers. And it seems like people believe that he is going to be pretty good.
Since when do people agree with me?
I don't know.
That's weird.
I definitely think that Sanders could be good in Carolina. You mentioned Deonta Foreman, and Foreman last year, from week 7 on, was on a 17-game pace of almost 300 carries, 1,350 yards, and 8 touchdowns.
And clearly they're two different running backs, and they're going to be in a very different situation than they were last year. But the ability to do that was still there, which means they're set up to have a decent running game. I don't know if they lost linemen or anything, but...
Well, the biggest issue with Foreman was also the biggest issue with Sanders last year, was neither one of them caught passes. Sanders had less than 100 receiving yards last year.
Yeah, that is also... I'm also excited to see if they let him catch passes, as opposed to the Eagles, who love role-playing their backfield. Like, passing play, Gainwell, go.
Gainwell. Well, Sanders also isn't really that good of a pass catcher. Like, he's fine.
He's not a route-running pass catcher, but he's great out of the backfield pass catcher. Like,
yeah, just
maybe not like a full-on wheel route, but like screens and dump-offs and just slants to the outside. Sure, he can handle that.
Yeah.
Which is good, because there'll be a rookie quarterback, so hopefully he'll just...
Right. So I do think that Sanders will be a fine RB2.
Yeah.
He might be like how Dameon Pierce was, where it's like you are only really happy when he scores. He might not have a lot of scoring opportunities in Carolina. Because, if he has 13 carries for like 70 or 80 yards, catches a couple passes, that's only like 10, 11 fantasy points. That's
RB2. That's not the worst.
No, that's not terrible. You probably prefer him to be, more of your RB3. But when you're paying, 24 firsts, or, you're only having to add a second to go get a guy who has top 10 fantasy upside, top 5 fantasy upside, like Tony Pollard, if he gets 250 touches, then that's the time when it's time to sell on that guy. And I do that for anybody. It's not just Miles Sanders. It's Dameon Pierce. I probably feel sad in saying this, but it's probably largely true. Like J.K. Dobbins, or, Dalvin Cook, if you're still able to do that with Cook. All those kind of guys, like, they just don't really do much for me. Ramondre Stevenson, Isaiah Pacheco.
But let's move on, because we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about David Montgomery now. And this was interesting. He goes to Detroit, where people were surprised they brought in another running back, because now was going to be the time DeAndre Swift magically became a workhorse. No?
I think they were more surprised that they brought in somebody who previously was a 3-down back. Not, like Jamal Williams had, like, he's very typecast into one specific role.
He is now, but he wasn't in Green Bay.
He had moments and stuff, like most running
Aaron
backs.
Jones was the better pass catcher, but they played them indiscriminately of what the situation was. In Green Bay, they just put out a running back. Yeah. Like, I think Williams is very capable. He's not like, I know we're going back years, but like, he's no Jordan Howard, like, where he's going to be standing in the end zone, get a pass for 3 yards, and it bricks off of his hands. Like,
I totally agree. I think Jamal Williams is super underrated and underutilized as well.
And an amazing human being, and I want to be his friend.
But Monty, he had like 300 touch seasons with Chicago, catching the ball and running. It's not like they brought in Deonta Foreman or Damian Harris even. It's like now we're actually concerned, or people are actually concerned that David Montgomery is going to just outright take the job from DeAndre Swift.
All right, so let's go. Superflex 12 team, David Montgomery and the 24-second for Terry McLaurin and the 211. This hurts in so many ways. David Montgomery 104, 24-second, 68 for a total of 171-ish. Terry McLaurin 230, the 211, 74 for a total of 304. Take away the 211, I still want Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
Like, look, David Montgomery's going to be okay. He'll be all right. The reason he was a back-end RB1 was because he was the only person they gave the ball to. DeAndre Swift is still there and has a skill set Montgomery does not have. So he's not going to be as good as he was. Maybe more efficient because it's a better offense. If you want to make that argument, I'm fine with that. But not to the point where he's going to be a top 15 running back.
I feel like people just see that Jamal Williams scored like 40 touchdowns last year and they're like, oh, well, Monty's going to do the same thing.
Yeah, sure. That is the perfect way to think. That's not the right way to think about that. That's not how that works at all. Touchdowns in general are not sticky. No less touchdowns between two different players.
Yeah. It's like they see like what Jamal Williams did. They're like, okay, Monty can be Jamal Williams and he could do even more in cutting his Swift's workload because he has the ability to do more.
Look, don't get me wrong.
I don't agree.
Swift has a specific workload and still doesn't necessarily stay healthy. So I'm fine if Montgomery takes a little bit away because I would prefer less usage but playing every game for DeAndre Swift, because Swift is one of those players that on any given play has the ability to go for a touchdown.
Just gone. Yeah.
And it's a reception, so he gets an extra point for it. So like I really do like I'm very into DeAndre Swift at the price he is listed at. I haven't seen it in my league trades, but I wrote the Trading Post article about him like maybe 2 weeks ago at this point, and I'm all in on that price. I took him, I should say, at I think the 411, 412 in Trade Addicts 11, and I still feel great about that value.
Something about that. I got asked this morning, would you rather have him or the 109 in Superflex?
I'll take Swift.
I said the 109, but I think that's...
Hold on, I need some math now. Bijan, 4 quarterbacks, JSN, Addison, Gibbs.
So you're around.
I'll take him over Quentin Johnson, or don't get me wrong, that's unofficially my dude because I don't know too much about him, but I just know what his body type and play like is.
Team TCU big wide receiver?
Just team big wide receiver, let's face it. I just happen to like more of them from Clemson. Next trade, Dameon Pierce and David Montgomery. There you go, the two of those guys. For a 24 first and a 24 second. Oh my God, I want the picks. I don't care that the analyzer says it's different. Dameon Pierce, 232. David Montgomery, 104 for a total of 336. The 24 first, 198. The 24 second, 68 for a total of 266. 24 first for Pierce, done. 24 second for Montgomery, done. Give me the picks. I don't think there's a world where you get 232 trade value for Dameon Pierce right now.
Nope. There's so much.
I tried.
Because they already brought in Singletary, so now it's kind of like there's a possibility that Dameon Pierce's workload is not as much as it was last year because he was the only running back. Now, let alone the fact that I've at least been spilling the propaganda that Texans are just gonna pull Jaguars and they're just gonna draft Bryce Young and Jahmyr Gibbs and bam, whole new offense, just like that. I don't think that's actually gonna happen, but
they're gonna draft Young and a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
In which case, already
new offense,
a different offense for sure. Like they'll have someone to throw the ball and someone to catch it, which they didn't have last year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's.
There's so much insulation.
I paid 2 seconds for Dameon Pierce last year, so I don't feel so bad about it. But yeah, this is the picks in every way, shape, or form to me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, I think that's it, right?
That's it.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for sticking around and listening to the melodic musings of Russ Fisher, Dynasty Outhouse, Addison Hayes, out of Maze Hayes _. This is the DLF Trade Show on the DLF YouTube channel. You don't know, we're just really good. I don't know. See you later.